welcome back to another, what is this, tutorial number 10. So this is, yes, score number 10 for the Tunisian Afghan sampler. And this is what the stitch looks like. So here's our square. Yes, it does curl up. So it's one of those stitches. So it'll curl up at the top and at the bottom. Remember that at the end, once we have all 30 squares, we will block them. So we will remove all of the curl, and the ones that are a little bit smaller, we'll make them bigger. So all of our squares will be the same size. So that's once we finish, because I don't feel like blocking every square individually because I'm lazy. So anyway, here's what the stitch looks like. You'll see it a lot better once I make a sample using the lighter yarn, but here's a look at the front. So it's ribbed, it's really pretty. And here's a look at the back. All right, so this stitch is a 1-row repeat. We're gonna be working with an even number of chains. So if you're using this for any other project, just chain in any even number. We're going to be making a chain of 30 for the 8-inch square, or the 20-centimeter square that we're going to be using for the Afghan. So remember, you make your slip knot and then you just start to chain. By this point, if you don't know how to make a slip knot and chain, you can go back to the first tutorial where I show you how to do all of this. So I think it's like tutorials 1 through 3 where we go over it step by step. But go back to those. I'll leave the list somewhere up here. And you could just follow along with square 1 and so forth. Anyway, once you have your chain, this is just a small sample, so I only chained 16. But we're going to begin just a regular foundation row, so you skip the first stitch on the chain, go into the second one, and just begin to cast on. Once you've cast on, your hook should look like this. We're going to work a regular return pass, and that's yarn over, pull through 1, and then yarn over, pull through 2 for all of the stitches, or I guess with all of the loops, until you are left with just 1 loop on your hook. Now, I think I mentioned this a little bit earlier, but this is just going to be a 1-row repeat. So the way that this square is going to work is we've got our foundation row, which here it is. So you got foundation row, and then rows 1 through 25. Those are all row 1 repeats. And then you're going to do your bind off. So you're going to end up with, 27 rows if you want to look at it that way, but it's foundation, 25 rows, bind off. All right, so row 1 goes like this. You always skip the first vertical stitch. You've already got it on your hook. We're going to go into the second one, and we're going to alternate between using the back and front loops. So this is just a Tunisian simple stitch. That's all there's to it. So this first one, Tunisian simple stitch using the back loop only. So there's the loop or the back leg. I can't ever decide if I want to call them loops or legs. All right. We're going to move to vertical stitch number 3, and we're going to cast this on as a regular Tunisian simple stitch. So you're going to grab the front leg. We go to the next one, and this is going to be, vertical stitch number 4. You're going to grab the back leg and cast on. Vertical stitch number 5 is front leg. Vertical number stitch is back leg. And that's it. That's seriously all there's to it. And this stitch is really pretty. I was pretty surprised. I was just sitting around playing with it, and this is what I ended up doing. And it worked out. Like I said, I haven't been watching any tutorials to find these. I just kind of sit with the hook and the yarn and see what I come up with. And so far, I think it's worked out pretty good. So I'm sorry, I don't have any names for these stitches. I'm sure they exist. I think I said this in the last tutorial. I'm sure they might exist somewhere. I don't know. I'm not learning them from anywhere. I'm just kind of making them. But feel free to name them if you want to. I'm just going to call them stitch, 1 through whatever. So, because there is a V-neck sweater. So if you follow me on Instagram, I posted a photo of a V-neck sweater that uses one of the stitches I'm going to show you guys how to crochet here for this series. But it's just going to be labeled stitch number whatever. I don't know. It might be stitch number 11. It might be stitch number 12. I'm not sure yet. But I'll show you that stitch, and then I'll be able to refer back to the tutorial so that you can see how to watch it step by step. All right, anyway, we got to the end of the row. So you're just going to cast on into this final stitch, like so. And once you have cast on, you're going to work a regular return pass. And there we go. All right, and once you're left with just the 1 loop on your hook, your fabric should look like this. And as you can see, it is beginning to curl. Again, don't worry about the curl. We're going to block all of these right before we start stitching them together, so don't stress it. It's going to be just fine. All right, so for row number 2, this is going to be a row 1 repeat. So you skip the first vertical stitch, go into the second one, and this is a back loop Tunisian simple stitch. Vertical stitch number 3 is a front loop, and then back loop for stitch number 4. There we go. Front loop for stitch number 5, back loop for 6, and so forth until you complete the row. So it's really truly that simple. I wish you could see it a little bit better with the blue. It looks so pretty with the blue. But anyway, it's ribbed. I'm going to use this to make a sweater because it's just really pretty. I don't know. I really like it. But you'll be seeing that stitch again soon. So there we go. I'll be able to tell you it's stitch number 10 from our Afghan series. But all right, so I'm going to continue working on this. It's just the row 1 repeat. I'm going to make a slightly bigger sample. I don't know how many rows yet, but I'll work on this and then I'll show you how to do the bind off, which for those of you that are a little more advanced and just want to try to do it on your own, it's just a single crochet bind off. Use the same method that you're using for the cast on for row 1. So if it's a back loop, cast on a back loop and then single crochet, and then front loop, cast on a front loop and single crochet. For those of you that have no idea what I just said or what any of that means, don't worry, we're going to be doing it here in just a moment. So give me a few minutes. I'm going to just try to make this a little bit bigger and then I'll show you how to do it. And you'll be able to see the stitch a lot better in this lighter yarn. At least that's what I hope. So, okay, I'll see you again in a minute. All right, so here's a look at our sample after I've completed several rows. I don't know if you can see the stitch a little bit better now that I've completed in a different color. So here I'll move and try to get different angles. But I wanted to get better lighting. It's just there's a lightning and thunderstorm going on outside, and I normally use the window light, but it's kind of cloudy, so you can't really see. So I hope you can see it right now. Anyway, so all we have left is once you've completed your 25 rows, we've got the bind off row. The bind off row, for those of you that have been following along, it's going to be very simple. It's just the single crochet bind off, and we're going to do this using the same stitching that we had used for our row 1 repeat. I don't know why that was so difficult to say, but it was. So you're going to cast on that second vertical stitch much like you did for the row 1 repeat using the back loop only. So Tunisian simple stitch, back loop. Once you have 2 loops on your hook, you're going to close as a single crochet. So yarn over and pull this top loop through these 2 bottom loops. When you go to vertical stitch number 3, you're just going to cast on a Tunisian simple stitch. When you have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through 2. So for those of you that have been following the series, this is just the single crochet bind off. I know we've done the single crochet and the slip stitch. Those are typically the only 2 I use when I'm doing anything with Tunisian crochet. But, you know, there could be others in the future. Anyway, you just continue casting on the same way that you had before. So using the front loop, the back loop, and so forth and so on until you get to the end. Now, once we get to the end, you're just going to close that final stitch with a single crochet and then a chain 1. Those of you that have never done it before, or where am I at? This is a front loop. For those of you that haven't done it before, don't worry, I'm almost at the end of the row, so we'll get to it and I'll show you how to do that. But for those of you that have and you want to stick around, well, thank you. But here we go. What do we have left? We have just these last 2. So I did get a question this week regarding the frequency of the videos. So thank you to Deb who wrote in and was asking about that. I'm sorry if I keep you waiting. Right now I've got 2 jobs right now. And so between that and school and everything, I can film whenever I have a moment. So I am aiming to post a video every week, at least for this series. So I don't know what day I'm going to post it. It's just whenever I get a moment to film and to edit, that's kind of what I'm doing. So as you can see, I don't think I was wearing my reams when I filmed. I filmed yesterday. And so I'm just finishing it up today and I'll get the editing and everything. But yeah, I film when I can. All right, anyway, so we've done the last single crochet and we're going to chain 1 and then we're just going to cut our yarn here. You weave in your tail ends and there you go. So here's your stitch. That was our video this week. Thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to see more of my work, you can always subscribe to the channel or you can go by the website or follow me on Instagram. There you can find me. It's very easy. Just Google me. And yeah, thank you so much for watching the tutorial. I will see you all again next week.